Competition Commission wants motorists to service and repair their cars at any approved dealership or service provider of their choice. Currently, car owners are compelled to use their vehicle manufacturers' service centres. If they decide to use independent service or repair providers, vehicle manufacturers cancel their warranties. For more on this story, we're joined by Competition Commission's Acting Deputy Commissioner, Hardin Ratshisusu. Very good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Why have you taken this decision?
Well, this is something that we've been working on for quite some time with the automotive industry because we have been receiving complaints, about limitations on consumers on warranty products and the sort of service providers they can use when probably their product is in warranty and consequences there too. So our challenge has been that the OEMs, and in particular these branded service centers, have been quite restrictive in what the consumers or the owners of the cars can do out there in the market. So we are putting out guidelines to ensure that we can open up the space and ensure that there's participation by even competing service centers out there.
Well, I mean, I think it's a fantastic idea because often people want to go somewhere they know is cheaper, but then it affects their warranty. So how do you guarantee that where you go is not going to impact on the warranty?
These reforms are not particularly unique to South Africa. So if you go to Europe, across the European Union, these reforms exist. In fact, there are concepts such as, they've put out rules that if you were to source, for instance, an equal quality matching part, you ought not to lose warranty. The only challenge here in South Africa is that motorists are forced to use the original parts, which are quite pricey at times. So reforms have been there. Russia, China, Australia have been looking into this. In fact, in some places, these OEMs, particularly the ones that are also active in South Africa, have signed codes, voluntary codes, to open up space for independence. So this is not something that is drastic. I think they are quite aware of what's happening elsewhere in the world.
Yes, I was going to ask you if there is any sort of pushback from those, because obviously they will lose money from the service providers.
Yes, as we have engaged with them in the past to try get them to agree to a code similar to what we have seen in the EU as well as Russia, but we have had a pushback because what we have asked for, of course, we are going beyond what other jurisdictions have looked at. So there's something unique to South Africa, which is things like a motor plan. Today, no motorist or car buyer knows how much a motor plan costs. What we simply asked of these OEMs is that split that. We're not saying consumers should not buy a motor plan, but at the very least, do inform the consumer about the cost of these products. How much are they paying for upfront, so that consumers can make an informed decision. Sometimes they could even source an independent insurer to cover for some of these other services they require. So this is something that OEMs in South Africa ought to embrace in our view.
Yeah, it really is giving the power back to the motorist, which is a good thing. Tell us more about the other findings that you've got and what makes the industry so non-competitive.
What we have done now, so you'll see we have published, in fact, it's a draft guideline for public comment. So these guidelines would touch across a whole lot of other things, including auto body repairers. There are a lot of restrictions that OEMs in South Africa place on where you can repair your car. That's where you probably would lose warranty. So there are very few outlets for that. We are simply saying open up that space. Make it easier for independent auto body repairers to enter into that space. What is happening, I give an example of Europe also. If you look at even the independent service centers, there are basic things that OEMs can make available to independents, including the design of the motor vehicle. There are diagnostic equipment that are required for this. we have seen that in some cases to access those facilities is quite a challenge for independence. So what we are calling for, and we are hoping that the OEMs will look at this for what it is, as a pro-competitive reform. In fact, it's a guideline to assist them to comply and ensure they don't fall foul of the Competition Act. And if they don't do that, I think we'll continuously have challenges in South Africa, and maybe consider other options to ensure that the OEMs adhere to the Competition Act.